Right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar number 19 in the Reclaim Networks webinar series. So we've got a couple of speakers today, and I'll introduce them shortly. But first, just a little bit of background for those who haven't been to a Reclaim webinar before. Next slide. So Reclaim is a network plus, and there's a committee of people running it from a number of universities and UKCH. So I'm Professor Laurence Jones from UK Centre for Ecology and Hydrology, and Professor Kumar at Surrey is the lead of the network, and we have colleagues from Warwick, Bath and Bangor universities, and our network managers based in Surrey. So I'm chairing the webinar today, and colleague Nerea Calvillo from University of Warwick will run the Q&A if she can negotiate travel problems with train strikes. If not, then I'll lead the Q&A. Next slide. Just a little bit of background to the network. So we've got over 540 members, and it's a mix of researchers, academics, students, and then practitioners and end users. So we've got a number of NGOs and charities, consultancy services. We've got a nice mix of local government and city officials as well as businesses, community groups. And the network members' interests cover quite a wide-ranging area. So public health and well-being is top of the list. And then people are interested in trees, planning and governance, green roofs, green walls. So a range of different types of green and blue and grey infrastructure. But the kind of interest areas around the services that these deliver. Next slide. So the webinars run monthly, and we're running them for another year and a bit. So we've got the network has got funding at the moment through until the end of February 2025. And the webinars run on the first Wednesday of every month, 12:30 till 1:30. And you can see our previous webinars on YouTube channel. So if you've missed any, you can go back and see what the topics were, and those are getting quite a few views now. So that's a useful resource to go back to, and this one will be uploaded as well, probably by the next day. So if you want to go back and check anything from our speakers, you can watch that video. Next slide. And if you want to present some of your work in these webinars, then feel free. You can contact us via the Reclaim email. So we've got speakers for the next, I think for the next sort of 5-6 months set up, but there may be gaps. So just contact us if you want to present your work. Next slide. Okay, so we've got 2 speakers today, and the format will be each one will speak for 20 minutes, and then we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So if you've got questions, then please put them in the Q&A box, and we will pose those to the speakers. So our first speaker today is Stella Schroeder from University of Bio in Chile, speaking about enhancing landscape conservation strategic planning for Nonguén Territory in Chile. Then after Stella, we'll have Dr Abhijith Kooloth Valappil, who's a research fellow at the Global Centre for Clean Air Research at the University of Surrey. And he's talking about the CoGreen Project, so learning about GI installation in Sandfield Primary School. So I will hand over to Stella now to lead us in our first talk. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well, good morning, good afternoon. Thanks again for giving me the opportunity to present our work here in this webinar. We are working in Concepción in Chile. Concepción is a city which is about 6 hours south from Santiago, just to give you an idea, but as well I have some maps later on. And I'm talking about our landscape conservation project. We are working here in the Nonguén Territory. Next slide, please. The project is funded by the Ministry of Education in Chile, and it's the aim of the project is to link the local community with the academia, with the research, so to have like all these stakeholders involved. And it is divided in two parts. One is a project about local food systems in Greater Concepcion, which is like the huge area around Concepcion. And the other project is the Nonguén Territory Conservation Landscape Project we are working in. It is financed for 2 years. So we started last year and we finished this year. But however, it is like part of a huge initiative of the local municipalities and the Ministry of Environment. Next slide. So let's have a quick look where we are located. In the first map, you can see South America. We have Chile, a long country which stretches across very different climate zones. We are located more or less like in the central part, south of the capital, as I already said, in the region of Biobío, which is the river which goes through the region. It is like an area with a lot of vegetation, a lot of forests. So it's a pretty green area with a lot of rain in winter, as you can see on the second map. And Concepcion, the city of Concepcion, is close to the ocean. As you can see on the third map, we have like a dark green area, which is like a little bit south of the city, which is the National Park of Nonguén. And around it, we have a lot of like rural areas and a lot of farming. Concepcion is the third biggest city of the country. First, we have Santiago, the capital. Then there is Valparaíso and Viña del Mar. And Concepcion is the third biggest. And it is a very important economic hub. And as well, there are a lot of universities in the city of Concepcion. Well, as well as you can see on the map that like this national park is like kind of very close, let's say, to the urban area. So it's actually pretty special of this park that it is the closest one, which is very close to the city. And obviously this generates some problems between like the urban expansion and the national area, the national park area. Next slide. Here on the map, you can see the national park in the green, light green area, and all the area around is our territory of Nonguén. So it includes the city of Concepcion in the north, the city of Chiguayante in the east, and the city of Hualqui in the south. And it includes as well like the whole rural area which is around the national park, but as well some urban areas. And this is quite interesting in this conservation project. In total, the area is covering about 26 hectares, and 3 hectares are part of the national park. Next, please. There we have a video. So just to keep on talking, like the video gives us a quick look about the landscape. It is on YouTube, so you can have a look later on. We have like a lot of other videos about like the area. And as you can see here, like we have the urban area, which is like growing and is occupying some rural parts. And this is creating like the huge conflict because it's somehow growing into the national park area. And like many other similar areas around the world, this is creating like projects and this is creating conflicts and challenges related to the fragmentation of the habitat And as well, we have a lot of forest fires in summertime. Then there are some unsustainable human activities, unfortunately, in the area. Well, the climate change has a huge impact as well. There are kind of conflicts in the land use of the area, and conflicts between the urban development and the conservation ideas of this area. As well, we have a lot of lack of resources and capacities. And what is very important is that there is a lack of public awareness and the importance for the conservation of this area. Actually, a lot of people do not even know that there is a national park, even if they live very close to it. It's about like 10 minutes by car, or they have never been to the park, or they don't even or they've never been to the area which is around the park, or they have even never heard of Nonguén Territory. So this is something we would like to change in our project. We have 3 different objectives. One is a general development plan, which is like some kind of an analysis of the territory and gives some proposal for future development. Then we have a governance plan, how to manage this area, including all the different stakeholders in the territory, and to work on a better communication. We have a communication plan, including some educational programs, but as well like a YouTube channel, social media, just to bring the park closer to the people. And this is what we are trying to do with this communication strategy. Next, please. So our methodology, as I already said, we started last year. It is divided into 5 steps. So first of all, a document analysis, some talks with the local stakeholders to get an idea about the territory. Later on, well, an analysis of the territory, of the system, of the ecosystem. And then we had a lot of workshops with local communities. After that, the definition of landscape units in the area, grouping some challenges, and giving the proposal for the government, for the local governments. And we are now working on the strategic sheet, which is like a roadmap, which gives us some ideas about future projects, and the implementation of 3 of these proposals. So we try to initiate like the conservation by activating some areas of the territory. Next slide. So this is our project process. As I already mentioned, we started last year in September. We had the first meeting with all local stakeholders. Then we had a lot of mapping activities. We had a lot of participatory workshop activities, some walks, awareness raising workshops. And as you can see in dark gray, like the definition of the governance proposal and the presentation of the draft, and finally the presentation of the proposal itself, which is which we actually presented to the local municipalities and to the stakeholders. So this is quite interesting. This is like kind of in a very concrete work process. Next slide. This is a video as well, just to show you how we started our analysis. Actually, we have a lot of data of the area. I think there is you can click on it when you're in presentation mode. You should be able to click on it. If it's not working, I will just talk about it. Don't worry about it. So actually, we have like a platform online where you have all the different information about the territory. For example, there are some layers which is about the topography, about the water, about the vegetation, about the land use, There is an infrastructure about infrastructure services. So it's a huge geo-information system which is available for the local community and as well for the municipalities to improve planning strategies and as well to inform about all the information which we can find in the territory. Well, don't worry about the video. Let's go to the next slide. So here you have some pictures about the of the participatory workshops during the process. As I already mentioned, the idea was to construct the territory in a participatory way. So this is why it was important to involve all stakeholders from the public sector, from the private sector, the local community, the universities, and as well the local schools. As I already mentioned, we worked in 3 cities. So it was actually a lot of work first of all, to get to know the stakeholders, to invite them, to work with them, and later on as well to systemize like all the information we got. Next slide. Here, and to get to know the territory, as I already mentioned, like a lot of people do not know about it, they have never been to it. Organized some walks, and the idea was to explore the area, to inform about challenges, to inform about risks. So last year and this year we had about 7 walks, guided walks as well, with some NGOs who helped us, they helped us out with a lot of information about the territory. Next slide. So as a first result, we have some proposals for the participatory management of the territory of Nonguén. And a lot of people told us that it is, first of all, it is very important to identify all relevant actors, to rescue local memories, indigenous memories, recognize previous work which has been done, and establish some roles and functions about the local actors, how they can get involved, how we should work in working commissions, and the organization of the management, like of the governance should be very representative and inclusive, include children, educational institutions, and have a very transparent mechanism. And of course, like a stable agenda over the time to see where we are and where do we want to go. And everything in a very participatory decision-making way. Next slide. Using this information, we try to define like an overall objective of the governance, which is to conserve and protect the natural and cultural value of the territory, and promoting the active participation of the actors. And as well, we have some other objectives, which is like restore the ecosystem, encourage the participation, efficient implementation of concrete solutions and actions, and to generate development opportunities for the inhabitants of the territory, and to give ideas about how to include sustainable solutions. Next slide. So this is like after the work with all the stakeholders, we made up a governance team, or like a sheet here, like a system, and how the different actors can work together. We have like a lot of groups of the civil society, the public services, the knowledge group, and the private actors. And all these actors have some representatives who form part of the Development Council, you can see in the center, which is administrated by the Executive Secretary. And we have some technical committees which are working on special subjects, and the technical committees can be members of the governance system, or as well they can be like external experts which are like included for special issues. Next slide. So how does it work? I already actually mentioned it. The idea is that this development council meets at least 4 times a year, and it is a group of all representatives. Then we have like the secretary, which is like the administrative team, and the technical committees, which are like working on special issues. This is like somehow the idea in a very simple way. But of course, like now it is time to talk to every group and to explain the system and to vote for the representatives. Next slide. As well, to give some proposals about the improvement of the area, we worked on an indicator list. Well, first of all, we had like indicators. We had like a long list of many indicators, about 100 indicators for the territory, to see where we are and where do we go, what we have to improve. We had a lot of interviews as well to validate this indicator list, and the evaluation of indicators to see if we are good, if we are bad, what do we have to do to improve our indicators and to improve the development of the region, of the territory. And finally, we had like some kind of analysis of the problems we identified in these indicators, in the evaluation of these indicators, to see some challenges and where do we have to start with our concrete actions. Next slide. The evaluation of the indicators, we used some benchmarks or some average on national level or some recommendation, because it was like the first the first time we were working with these indicators, so we cannot see how it developed over time. This is actually the idea for the years starting from now, to see, okay, this indicator has improved or not, but to see where we are, we had to look for some competitive, some data to compare the information we collected. So as I already said, we used some benchmarks. So this is like some ideas how we the evaluation of the indicators. If it is in green, it means that we are very good in this area, so no action has to be taken so far. If the indicator is in yellow, we can say, okay, we are more or less in the average. And if the indicator is in red, this means like we have to take some actions to improve these indicators in a medium and long term. Next slide. So using all these indicators in red, we try to figure out what is the relation between these indicators and what do we have to improve. So we used like some kind of a matrice. You can see here, we have some passive problems that actually indicators in red and we can't do a lot about it. Then we have like indifferent problems, which are like somehow problems we cannot really influence as well, and but they do not influence our other indicators. And then we have the active problems and the critical problems. And this is actually where action has to be taken. So these indicators are related to many other indicators. And if we start working on one of them, we can have a huge impact in improving the territory. For example, the relationship between the built-up area and the city and the unbuilt-up space. There is no relationship, so we have to work with concrete action to create a relationship, and this might help us to influence other indicators as well. Or as well, there are not a lot of recreational facilities. So if we improve the recreational facilities as well, we can improve other indicators at the same time. So this actually helped us out. It is in process so far. So we are still working on it. So I just give you some first results on it.
So
Thanks.
Stella, can I just ask you to try and bring it to a close in the next minute?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay, that's okay. Let's go quickly through the next slides. For the concrete actions, we worked on some landscape units, as you can see here, to give like some concrete ideas of in this landscape unit, which has a lot of like, which is sharing the same characteristics. We have to work on this action, or in this landscape unit we can work on another action. And these landscape units, they are like characterized by its ecological form, its social characteristics, administrative characteristic, and the threats. Let's go quickly through the next one, which is like give some photos about the landscape unit. As you can see, like the characteristic of each of one. Let's go to the next slide. As well, we made up a catalog of sustainable solutions for each of the landscape units, as I already mentioned to you, related to water and forest management. This catalog is handed over to the local community, so they can actually choose what kind of action they would like to take in each unit. The next slide. As well, we worked on concrete proposals for the different landscape units, and we had a lot of ideas. We broke them down into 14 proposals, and using a ranking tool, we started to see, okay, what are the proposals, the ideas, the most important one, where do we have to work on in a short term? And we used like different criteria to figure out the most important projects for this area. So let's move on. Here you can see the criteria, the ranking tool, and we have like 3 projects, each of one in each of the cities to work on a short in a short time. Next slide. This we can here just you see like the 3 projects in Concepcion, which is like close to the university. Then we have one in Chiguayante, which is like a river, which is connecting the big river of Biobío with a national park, and another area in Hualqui, which is like as well a linkage between the rural area and the city. Next slide. Give me one more minute. Here you can see the pictures of the 3 ideas for concrete actions we take. And as you can see on the next slide, we already worked on one of them, which is like the pilot project in the university. And here, as you can see on the map, like all these nature-based solutions, the sustainable solutions are actually included in a concrete planning in this map. And we started with a first workshop, and then we invited the local community, and we are actually working on a medium and long-term development plan for this area. As well, environmental education activities are included in all of these concrete actions. And this is something we are doing right now, but as well, we are working with the local NGOs. So this is something which is actually has to be continued in a medium and long term. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stella. That was really interesting and really nice to involve local communities in decision making and restoration actions. If you've got questions for Stella, please put them in the Q&A. And in the meantime, we'll move over to Abhijith, who's going to talk about the CoGreen project. So I will hand over to you now, Abhijith.
Thank you very much, Laurence. Can everyone see the slides?
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to talk about CoGreen projects and what we have done in CoGreen project and what are the results from the CoGreen project. CoGreen project stands for Citizen Science-led demonstration of multiple co-benefits of green infrastructure interventions along road-facing school perimeter. It is a citizen science project, and I would like to thank all the team members listed here for their contribution, their effort during CoGreen project. Our overall aim was to implement green infrastructure solutions along the Sandfield School perimeter, to investigate how much it's reducing air pollution, as well as other multi benefits of the green solutions. This is our overall aim, and our project team included Guildford Living Lab from University of Surrey, Sandfield Primary School, Zero Carbon Guildford. It is a non-profit climate action group. Then the parents groups in the at the school, and the local councillor and the community group joined the CoGreen project. As a example of citizen science approach, you can see the schematic diagram representation of CoGreen project. When a Reclaim project, people, green space and people fund funding call was announced, the our partners, you can see our different partners of the CoGreen project below the schematic diagram, and they are represented as different circles. So this represent how we developed this project and who involved in each step of the project. So when the funding call was out, the school, Guildford Living Lab, Zero Carbon, Parent and Resident Group, we co-created the proposal. Then it was funded, it was successful. After that, we had series of meetings, brainstorming sessions to find out how to implement, find out the ways of implementing green solutions we proposed in the proposal. And then we and the whole group, especially the parent group, were in, and the school led the selection of GI and getting the right suppliers and negotiating with for the right amount or right price for GI solutions. So it was a experience as a researcher. It was an experience for me to work with the stakeholders or beneficiaries who will get benefit out of the green infrastructure solutions, as well as I'm in part of the building or implementation, as well in design, building, implementation, and I'm measuring, and I'm working with them to uh, produce recommendation, publication, reports out of it. So it's a really good example of citizen science approach. You can see the yellow part, yellow background, whatever the circles under the yellow shaded sector is completed, and we are in the orange sector. Okay, so what we proposed in the CoGreen, what we proposed was the school. The left side map shows the school. School is, if you can see my cursor, school is located along two busy roads, York Road and Stock Road. The school has two openings. There is a fence along. There is a fence along the playground, and there is a green gate. There is a gate along York Road. So during pickup and drop off hours, peak hours, the traffic lines up a lot here and produce a significant amount of pollution, and it channels through the gate, as well as it reaches to the playground through the fence. And from previous projects in GCAR, we found the green screen can be effective in reducing pollution coming into the school premises. But one of the key problem was to identify solution for the gate, because most of the time the gates needs to be open, and any barrier, the solid barrier or other kind of barrier may reduce the visibility. It may not be aesthetically pleasing, and it may have some problem with the function of the gate. So what we proposed was a lightweight green gate. It is the first time in UK testing this kind of a green solution to the gate. It is a lightweight structure, and it doesn't reduce the function, or it doesn't interfere with the function of the gate, and it's aesthetically pleasing as well. So what we did was we measured perpendicular to the road. We measured multiple points perpendicular to the road, one in front of the green infrastructure and one behind, and further points down along perpendicular line. So there were two separate monitoring campaigns, and the monitoring campaigns happened before and after installation of green screen and the green gate. The green gate. Yeah, you can see the plan and how the before, and how in during the implementation, each student, it was a participatory act, and kids have their own plans, and you can see the green gate, and it has a lightweight uh, cloth material with a pouch, and plants goes into each pouch. So the kids planted their own. They selected the plants. They planted in each pocket, and it makes a personal connection to the green gate. And they are involved in the building, and they will. It is a good way of creating awareness among parents as well as the kids, and it became an instant success after installation. Similarly, the we proposed a green screen along the fence. Even though there are trees on this side, the trees may improve the air quality or reduce some of the pollutants coming to the school premises, the school playground. But the bottom part of both the trunks, where the trunks are, uh, it is open, and the pollution can go through the trees. So the green screen basically is an IV screen. It seals, or it capture the pollutants, or it reduces the pollutants going on through the trunks or the weakened area. So, and combination of the green screen and the trees become a complete green infrastructure green barrier along this one. And you can see the number of particle spectrometers, and we kept along the monitoring points. Sure. So what we got from Green Gate, you can see a considerable, significant reduction after installing the Green Gate. The yellow box plots shows the concentration of PM after installation, and the darker one shows the pre-installation concentration. It's if you look the concentration, there is a decay even without installing green gate, but the decay or the reduction after the green gate installation was higher than the post higher than the pre-installation. And there may be some difference in 0.4 and 0.5. This 0.4, 0.5 are further away from the green gate, and it is affected by the playground activity as well as the pollutants coming from through the stock road, the other side. In order to make it more clear, we draw hourly average concentrations for school working hours. You can see the left-hand side. That is the hourly average concentration before installing green gate. You can see all the concentration along 0.1 to 5 are more or less clubbed together. Even though the 0.1 has higher concentration, the rest of the points were slightly below it. But after installation, you can see there is a significant reduction for each point from 0.2 to 5, and the significant reduction. And the reduction was almost up to 45%. And to make it more clear, we made the ratio of 0.2 to 5. We divided the 0.2, the concentration of 0.2 to 5 by 0.1, which is close to the road. Without green gate or green infrastructure, there is a decay up to 0.4, which is the edge of the playground. And this, but if you compare with the post installation, the reduction is happening from 0.2 to 0.4, and it's reducing. The ratio it's becoming close to 55. So there can be a reduction up to 45%. Similarly, we did this. This shows the green screen evaluation. Here also, the concentration is reducing after installation of green screen, and uh, the kids who are playing in the playground will definitely get benefit from this installation. Apart from green infrastructure installation, we also did other activities as a part of CoGreen. One of them was biodiversity assessment of biodiversity activity for students. The Guildford Living Lab and school combinedly made a biodiversity quantification sessions before and after installation of green screen and green gate, and the school premise was divided into different zones: the outside near the car park, the garden, and indoor inside playground area. And kids, the students basically counted quantified number of species of different types of animals and plants in all the areas. And another activity, the school wanted to find out what is the perception of green screen or green solutions we are implementing, and their how it is um, how it is impacting the perception of the parents and the public around the school. And they're basically they if they think it important for the kids or their education. So we made a short survey, and we did the survey before implementing the green screen, and now we are collecting the data after in implementing the green screen. So basically it will we will have an opportunity to compare the actual air quality reduction and the people's perception of the reduction. Um, uh, in addition, the implementation of green screen and green gate was as a participatory activity for the students and the teachers. And during the field monitoring or quality monitoring, the kids engaged with the monitoring activity. Some of the students took some air quality sensors and went close to the road and came back inside the school and see how the concentration is changing line. So it was a good learning and awareness experience for them. What we are expecting from this study, it is becoming a good potential case study for implementing green solutions for schools, and it can be adapted to other schools. And it's also shows the power of citizen science approach, where uh, researchers are joining with um, the public and solving their issues. And the data and the findings will be dataset will be contributed to the Reclaim GPGI database, and the recommendations and publications are we are in the process of preparing publications and recommendations out of the study. So I would like to thank again all team member of CoGreen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abhijith. So really nice to see some numbers. So being able to quantify the benefits for these two different types of green infrastructure.
Yeah,
that's really good, because that's a really important part of what Reclaim Network is trying to do and the kind of studies we're trying to facilitate. So thank you very much to both of you for those talks. And I will hand over to Nerea Calvillo to chair the Q&A session.
Thank you, Laurence. So we have a question from Charlotte, and she's asking Stella, how easy was it to engage the local government?
That's a good question. Well, it actually in the first, it was not that difficult, because as I mentioned, it is an initiative which already, well, a lot of people are working on it for many years. So it was initiated by the local municipality, the 3 cities. So they have like their experts, and they have like a small group, and I think they have meetings once a month or every second month, where they talk about like different challenges of the territory. So when we started the project, the connection between the university and the local municipalities, the cities, already exist. So it was not that difficult to convince them that this is a very important issue. Still, what was a challenge was to link the cities with the local community, because well, there is always like this the problem that the city is doing something, but it does not really reach the whole group of stakeholders or local communities. So we have some actions taken by the city and other actions taken by the local communities, but they do not really work together. And the local communities, they say that the city is doing nothing. The city is like implementing projects or project ideas, but they do not really engage with the local community. So this is actually the risk or the challenge we had in the project. But it was not so difficult to include or to convince the government. You're muted.
Thank you. That's very interesting, Stella, because it actually shows how previous relations facilitate a lot the beginning of these projects. They are like a very useful entry point. Thank you. There's another question from Charlotte for sorry, for Abhijith, which is, what would be your recommendations for schools interested in installing a green gate?
It depends. Yeah, so green gate can be only drawback I see is green gate can be expensive. Installation can be expensive. There are ways to if they want to source the materials, they could try. They could contact the manufacturer in Spain who makes the clothing material, which is basically the backbone of the green screen. And it can happen in less than for a meter square. It will cost less than 500 pounds. But if you are going for a commercially partners in UK, I'm not only talking about UK. Only recommendation from my side is green gate will definitely improve because that is in most conditions that is the only opening in a boundary wall, and that will be the only possible way to opponents to enter school school grounds. The limiting factor will be the money, and if they can find out an alternative way to reduce the clothing where they attach plants, that will be the easy or less expensive solutions. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you. There is another, just a quick follow-up. Could one do it with just pots of plants? Because I found really interesting what you said about kids being able to bring their own plants. So can one do a DIY gate with pots, basically? Maybe the same effect?
No, it's basically a living green wall. So the plants are put in pots in small along the vertical heights. So it is not a single plant coming from. There are two ways. Once you make a climbing plants from the bottom to up, or you make a small plants on different levels. Those are the two options. And most of the green wall solutions are quite heavy because they need to support the soil and the irrigation system. This one is basically a cloth, and plants are put into the cloth with a irrigation system. So kids, we wanted to have, one of the idea was we wanted to have each kids a plant in the green gate. That was the idea. That is why we selected this approach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So there's another question for Stella. Sorry, from Alejandro Dusilan. And they ask, is the disconnect between city officials and local community organizations due to political or other reasons?
Can you repeat the first part of the question? I didn't.
Is the disconnect between the city officials and the local community that you just explained before due to political or other reasons?
Well, I think it is due to political issues as well. And many times the people think that the government does not represent their ideas, or as well that the major or the local municipality team is like working on their proper interests, and they do not really work on what is really necessary in the area. And as well, some people talk about corruption, and there are like a lot of friendships, and however, I can't prove this, but it is always like they are claiming about like the city is not doing what it is supposed to do. And I think this is why they do not really like to work together with the city and the local initiatives, like the local NGOs. There are many of them. There are many young groups of young people who are actually taking action in the territory, and they try to improve it, but they want to do it by themselves, and they do not want to do it together with the city.
Not even if there's funding?
Well, if there's funding, yes, but still they're like kind of, let's see, we don't know. We prefer to look for other fundings as well. So they are not really convinced about the work the city is doing.
That's very interesting. So you asked a question to and was what about installing green gates inside the classroom? Are there any plans that you recommend?
Yeah, there are suitable indoor plants. I don't remember the species name. There are research on which are the indoor plants, which is more effective in reducing indoor pollution concentration. So there are definitely studies on it. I don't remember the plant name. There was a recent study from RHS Weasley, Tiana. Yeah, the list with the list of and yeah, it's possible. People are implementing indoor green walls. Thank you.
Thank you. And there's I think we have time for the last question we have in the chat, which is from Cisse to Stella. He says, great presentation. What is the awareness of green and blue infrastructures early start of your project and now? Is there a change in awareness across time?
I was
muted.
Yes. Well, we hope to create more awareness. Actually, some people already know about green and blue infrastructure. It is nothing totally new. The city already works with it in some projects as well, the local community. What we were doing is during our walks and the workshops, we have an expert in our team about green and blue infrastructure, and he was like showing how the environment can change, implementing such solutions to create somehow this awareness and sensibilize about like these solutions. Each of us actually can improve the environment because obviously we have like huge projects about green and blue infrastructure, but as well, like if I have like a small area, I'm the owner of a territory which is like close to the national park as well. I could install something very simple, and this as well can have a huge impact. And this is actually what we are trying to do, to work together with the local landowners to tell them what to do and how to do it and how much does it cost and what is the impact on on short and medium term. And well, we are only working on it 2 years, but we hope to have like a small impact, but as well, we want to continue with the project to involve more landowners in these ideas.
Fantastic. It would be really amazing to see both projects in 5 years' time and hear again what has happened to them. Thank you very much to the two of you. I'm going to hand over back to Laurence.
So yeah, thank you everyone for joining. So we have just a couple of slides to close, just to let you know what's happening in the next webinar. So next webinar will be on the 10th of January, and we have 2 speakers again. So we have Abby Charlesworth from the Natural History Consortium, talking about breaking silos across sectors to create livable cities, which is a challenge that all of these kind of initiatives face, I guess. And we have Cisse Debeli from GCare talking about the LIVE GBGI project, which is one of the projects funded through the Reclaim Network. Next slide. And if you want to share any of this on social media, then there's a LinkedIn, there's an X handle there. And if you want more information about the network, then you can either email the info contact there or have a look on the website. There's lots of resources on the website, and we're currently building a database of background information and performance of different types of green infrastructure. So that will be maybe another month or 2 before that comes online, but just to let you know of other activities that we're doing, other resources that we're creating as part of the network. So a reminder that this video will be on YouTube in a couple of days' time. And lastly, just to thank once again our 2 speakers, and thank you all for joining. So thank you and see you in January.